Hi, I'm Alison Roman and welcome to my very crazy live-work kitchen space. I'm very excited to show you around. I have not done any preparation for this, so what you're getting is the real deal. Welcome. So my favorite part of the kitchen is this place right here, which is where I do most of my work. The kitchen, I always say, is kind of small. It's actually quite a big room, but the space that I have to work is pretty tiny. So I'm pretty much always either right here or right here and never really anywhere else. I like to be here because I'm close to the sink, so when I'm, cooking things, I can wash stuff easily. Or if I'm over here, if I'm cooking, that way I can go from cutting board to stove. Actually, having a smaller space makes me a much more efficient cook, so I would say it's gotta be right here.
Can you tell us how long you've lived in this kitchen?
I have been in this apartment for about 1.5 years. I moved in the middle of winter and now we're getting back into winter. So I've seen it through all the seasons, which is really nice. I have an overabundance of stuff in this kitchen, both in my refrigerator, which I'll show you, which is hysterical, and also in my pantry. It's because of what I do for a living. I'm constantly cooking something new. I'm shopping for photo shoots. I'm shopping for recipe development. So I have a stockpile of pretty much every single thing you could possibly imagine. It's basically like I live inside a Fairway market.
What are 3 things you will always find in your pantry or fridge?
3 things that you will always find in my pantry are probably chickpeas. Big fan, love chickpeas. I feel like a lot of people are snobby and will say oh, you should really cook them from dry, and they're good cooked from dry, but it's not the same as being able to open up a can of chickpeas and then having dinner in 20 minutes. I also always have an insane amount of tinned fish. My favorite type of tinned fish or jarred fish or salted fish are anchovies. I am a one-trick pony. I love anchovies. I would put them in everything if I could. I love the Ortiz brand. There's also another brand and I can't remember the name and I don't have it on me. Oh, I do. I love this brand. I think it's Codessa, I don't know. They're so delicious and fat and salty and meaty and they're pretty perfect, but Ortiz is also an excellent, excellent brand. And then as you can see, it's kind of I always have a lot of vinegars on hand, spices, baking stuff. It's organized to me. It may not look organized to you, but this is what I'm working with. It needs a little love, not gonna lie. I'm actually very terrified to show you what's happening here. I can explain too. It's been a crazy 2 weeks. I have been doing a lot of stuff. There have been photo shoots for Thanksgiving and the holidays, and my mom was in town. It's been a real few weeks, okay? So forgive me. This is hysterical. What do I always have in here? What do I not have in here? I always have preserved lemons, just a bag of ham. Don't worry about that. Okay, this is embarrassing. I always have wine in my fridge. I'm gonna take this out for a second. That's not what I always have. But I also always have a batch of preserved lemons that I make that I kind of always have going. If I don't have a full jar in here at all times, I start to panic. I use these preserved lemons in a lot of things. I use them in stews, I use them in salads, I use them to finely chop and then sprinkle over roasted vegetables or, seared chicken breast or whatever. I stir it into yogurt and use that as a sauce. They're salty, they're mild. I'm a big fan of using the whole lemon, even when they're not preserved, but when they are preserved, they get a little softer, their bitterness mellows, it becomes a little bit more palatable. So it's something that I will always have on hand. And if you're eating dinner at my house, you're probably eating a lot of preserved lemons and anchovies, to be honest. And then honestly, what you'll always find is all this that I definitely do not need and cannot bring myself to throw away. Hot sauce from 2014. There's a hunk of Parmesan that's at least 2 years old. 2 jars of maraschino cherries that I never use and certainly will not get rid of now. Honestly, who could say what we're gonna find in here? It's a real adventure. We should have a show where it's just chopped, but you use stuff in my fridge. You could do it, I'm sure. There's so much in here.
3 things we will absolutely never find in this kitchen.
3 things you'll never find in my kitchen is a really small list because I've got so much stuff in this kitchen, but you'll probably never find an avocado. I don't eat avocados. I don't cook with avocados. They're not my thing. I don't have them around. You'll never find organization. You'll never find that in this kitchen. It just doesn't exist. I don't know her. It's not around. And you'll also never find dehydration because I am extremely hydrated at all times. I always have a minimum of 3 beverages, and granted this one's coffee, and so yes, that is dehydrating, but I like to counter that with my water and also my kombucha. No dehydration here.
Can you tell us about the coolest thing you've ever made in this kitchen?
I think the stew was born in this kitchen, which I think is really cool. She's almost 1 year old. Happy birthday, Stu. Anytime a recipe that I have becomes successful or popular, I have no way of knowing that it's gonna happen beforehand. And every time I think it's gonna happen, it doesn't really happen. But a reason I think that they are successful or they work is because look at this space. Like, look at what I'm working with. It's a pretty basic setup. I do have like a lot of pots and pans and skillets, but they're just like, it's like a hobby that I have to collect them. It's not like anyone needs any of this. If somebody came into my kitchen tomorrow and said, okay, we're taking everything you don't absolutely need, 95% of this stuff would be gone. It's just I'm a hoarder and I don't know how to throw stuff away. These I probably never really use, but aren't they beautiful? I really love them. So I'm never giving them away. Are they essential? Absolutely not. But I think the reason my recipes resonate with people is because I am kind of just working with bare bones stuff in a pretty tiny space with not much storage. And so I'm taking that into consideration. I feel like a lot of people also live that way.
What's the biggest disaster you've had in this kitchen?
One time I was shooting my new cookbook, nothing fancy. I was shooting it in this kitchen and I had put a loaf cake, like a lemony turmeric tea cake, which is very good, in the oven to bake. And meanwhile, I was like, okay, well then we'll shoot this salmon dish, which is salmon and, you know, charred scallions with soy and like spring onion. It's also very good. And I was like, okay, that's in the oven. I will put the salmon in the oven on bottom beneath the cake. So I'm making the salmon, I'm doing the thing, and then I open the oven door and just completely forget that the tea cake is even in there at all. Like my brain was just so full. So I just reach in and I couldn't see it because it was in the back, and I just throw the sheet pan in there and the tea cake is still very underbaked. It flips over onto the salmon and then onto the bottom of this oven, and there's just like cake batter everywhere, all over the salmon. So I ruined the cake, I ruined the salmon, I ruined the oven. We were at like the end of the day shooting and we were all just like, are you kidding me? We laughed so hard. And because that was really all we could do. I did want to scream and burst into tears, but we laughed. Yeah, that was a disaster, but we had a good time with it, so.
If you could change one thing about your kitchen, what would it be?
If I could change one thing about my kitchen, I would have a dishwasher. It would be large and fast and do all my dishes for me, because this is what happens pretty much every day is like, I accumulate and I try to stay organized. My definition of organized is by stacking all my dishes in the sink. Like, not doing them, God forbid, in a timely fashion, but stacking them in the sink so that I give the illusion of organization and cleanliness. For the complete tour experience, and again, in full transparency, I have nothing to lose by being honest with you. So this region is the stuff that I haven't either unpacked or I plan on exiting the apartment with one day. So I have like gifts for friends that I got in March, it's October, that I plan on giving away very soon. Pants that belong to a friend of mine, shoes that I haven't put away, just like stuff. Like this is just like a stuff pile. This is small stuff, things that I either carry with me. I have a disposable camera, 2 of them actually. Earrings that my friend Susan just gifted me, which are beautiful and I'm obsessed with. Japanese gummy candies, just like a welcome or goodbye snack as you leave or enter my apartment. Books that I'm reading, I have a New Yorker, and then the new Tartine book, which I just got in the mail, and then my notebooks, which I write in, and who knows what's in here? Let's take a look. There are recipes in here for sure. There's also thoughts and to-do lists. This is some Thanksgiving notes. Here's a turkey recipe that's incomplete. There's a recipe on the New York Times that is for a blueberry cornmeal shortbread tart. This is where the recipe began. 7/17/19. Wow, what a journey. Yeah, so I have about 40 notebooks going at all times. Highly relatable, I'm sure. Why don't you just have one notebook and finish that and move on to a new notebook? You might ask yourself. I couldn't tell you, I couldn't say. This one's more of like a thoughts notebook, you know, Dear Diary stuff. And this is a new notebook that I bought when I was out of town and didn't have a notebook and needed to buy one. Cool story. I then keep my pantry food staples here, so like dry goods, citrus, apples, onions, shallots, garlic, whatever. And then this is my little coffee station. This is where I grind my coffee in the morning. This is where I keep my cutting boards. These are my new favorite cutting boards. They're from Material, and I love them because they're made of recycled plastic and sugarcane, but also because of the texture. You can't tell when you've sliced. I think my big pet peeve with plastic cutting boards is A, they're white or clear, so they stain. These are not, so they don't. And B, whenever you make knife cuts, you can see the knife cuts, and this, because of the textured material, you can't. This is my plant. She doesn't have a name, but I do like her. I haven't killed her yet. I'm a big fan of plants. This one actually should be over here. She's new. She's not doing super great, but I also haven't been taking very good care of her. That's another show. This is a succulent that I've had for many years, and I cannot believe it's not dead, although it does not look like it's doing super hot, right? I should replant it. I'm gonna move that over there. And then this is like miscellaneous pantry stuff that I use kind of all the time. Soy sauce, sesame seeds, flaky salt, nutritional yeast for my popcorn, ghee, turmeric, honey, just kind of stuff that I'm more reaching for. That pantry stuff is stuff that I'm using pointedly, specifically, and rarely. This is sort of pantry stuff that I use all the time. Again, not very well organized. I could probably do a better job. I need a lot of help. I need someone to come and help me and whip me into shape, because this is, I have an empty bottle that I really like, and God forbid I throw it away. I'm not throwing this away ever. I'm holding on to this bottle for the rest of my life. I'll die with this bottle. And then this is like the creme de la creme, the top tier pantry stuff that I reach for literally all the time. So we have olive oil, grapeseed oil, my pepper mill, flaky salt, regular kosher salt, count them, 3 types of chili flake or chili. We have whole chili de arbol. We have a crushed Korean pepper from my favorite little farm, Lonnie's, which I love. You can get this in the farmer's market. I love them so much. And then just classic straight up red chili flake. I also have a container of Korean chili flake, which smells so good. So I guess 4, count them 4. This doesn't fit on the thing. When I moved in, I'd never been blessed with so much like pantry space before, and so I wasn't quite sure what to do with it, and I haven't even considered removing these doors because I find them a little annoying, but whatever. This is sort of my everyday bowl usage, which is really funny because looking at it, it's like all like pink and purple and blue and white, which is super not my color palette, but it's what I have. I'm not like the kind of person who cares about like a matching set of stuff, but I do care about having enough plates for people to eat on. So I don't care if your plates match, just make sure you have like 12 plates on hand for when people come over. And then this is sort of my like bowls, jars. I don't know what these plates are. These are like smaller plates that are maybe decorative. I don't know. Again, I have a real problem. Glasses, coffee mugs, water, any wine that I really like or really like the label. This one I really like the wine and the label. I save, and that way when I have people over, I can fill them with water, and then that's what they drink water out of. My little stove that I can fit a whole turkey in there. I can fit 2 sheet pans in there. I can fit a whole Dutch oven in there. She can do a lot. She doesn't look like much, but she treats me right. Thank you so much for coming. I am gonna have to kindly ask you to leave now so I can get back to work, which means like opening Twitter 1,000 times and then like maybe writing 3 words, but I'm gonna try my best to focus today. So thank you for coming, and I'll see you soon.